Hello everyone, actually today's second video. We're doing the July ENSO update, so we're going to have a look and see what's going on in the equatorial Pacific Ocean in terms of the transition from El Nino. We have a big El Nino at the start of the year. We've been thinking that's going to transition into a cold event, into a La Nina event as we get through this summer and into the autumn. We'll see how things have progressed over the past month. Before I get on with that, though, just to say about the charity fundraiser. So throughout July, I've been raising money for Warwickshire and Northamptonshire Air Ambulance. And a huge thank to everybody that's donated so far. As I'm doing a video on Thursday evening, we've had £1,026.54 donated by 66 really kind and generous donors. Now, I'm not sure whether it'll be gone up anymore as you're watching this on Saturday evening, but fingers crossed it might have done. We've got another 24 hours to go for this fundraise. We're going to be drawing it to a close this time tomorrow, Sunday evening. It'll be very interesting how much we've raised by that point. So for Warwickshire and Northamptonshire Air Ambulance is a completely charitable organisation. They don't receive any money from the government or from the National Health Service or from general taxation. They rely on very kind donations from people such as yourself. So it costs £1,700 to do one call out for the air ambulance. They do 1,000 call outs a year. So it just gives you an idea of the scale of the operation and the money it takes to keep the show on the roads. Is all from charitable donations. So if you haven't donated yet, you've still got time. You've got another 24 hours to do so. All you have to do is come to our Just Giving page. I'm going to leave the link to our Just Giving page in the description box at YouTube. There's also links throughout GavsWeathers.com. You click the link, come to our page, and you know it's the right page because it's got Gavs Weathers logo. Also says Gavin's page. And it gives you our story. I've given our story for the reason why we're raising this money. Essentially, I lost my father at the start of the year very suddenly, but the Warwickshire and Northamptonshire Air Ambulance pulled out all the stops on all the other emergency services to keep him alive. And in fact, they did revive him, they did resuscitate him. Got him in hospital, but unfortunately a few days later he passed away. But as a way of a thank you for what the air ambulance did for him, we're raising this money. So if you want to know more about that, you can read our story. But the most important point is when you come to our Just Giving page, you simply click the yellow button that says donate. It'll take you to another page where very, very safely, very securely, you can put in your card details and the amount of money you would like to donate, and that'll go straight through to the charity. Alternatively, you can do it via text, so you can use our code, which is GWVS77, the amount you would like to donate, £1 upwards, and you text it to 770. If you pay as you go, it'll just be taken off your outstanding balance, or off your balance. If you pay via a bill, it'll go on to your next bill cycle. But your mobile phone provider, so for example Vodafone, but other mobile phone providers apply as well, your mobile phone provider will pay that money out straight away. There's no messing around with justgiving.com. The money goes straight through to the charity as you donate it. And there's also something called Gift Aid, where you can enable a few pounds more to be added. It doesn't cost you anything, but you can add a few pounds more via Gift Aid to the charity. So a huge thank you to everybody for getting involved in this charitable fundraiser. It means so much to us. I say you've got another 24 hours to donate. We're going to see how far we can get that total up by Sunday evening. And just say, but Gavs Weathers is completely free of charge. We don't have subscriptions or pay for you, anything like that for our videos, for our written posts, for Terry Scott. It's all freely available for you as you need it and want it. So I just asked if you enjoy what we do at Gavs Weathers, that you make this small charitable donation to this charity that means so much to us, and a big thank you to everybody for doing that. Right, let's get on with the update. Sorry about that, I just got a bit of a tickle in the back of my throat. Right, let's get on with the ENSO update. We're going to start off with the sea surface temperature anomalies from last month. So this was how the Pacific was looking last month when we did the June ENSO update. So we've got Peru over here, we've got Indonesia over here, and this is the area we're looking at through the equatorial part of the Pacific Ocean. We're looking for blue colours to be appearing in this region. We have got a bit of blue just here, you'll notice. The blue colours are cooler than average sea surface temperature anomalies. You get a lot of blue, but it is a signature for a cold event, telling you that Pacific Ocean, equatorial Pacific Ocean anyway, is in a cold setup, and that can be the signature of La Nina, or that is the signature of La Nina. So that was the situation in June. Let's see the latest. This is from July. And, well, look at that. Very little difference, really, over the past month. We have seen a little bit of strengthening in this central part of the equatorial Pacific. The blue colours have deepened and expanded just a little bit. But if we go back to June, you can see that situation in June. This is the situation now. So clearly there has been a little bit of cooling through this central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean on the surface. But, my word, this is still a very, very weak La Nina signature. In fact, it hardly is a La Nina signature at all. I think you can basically say we're still more or less ENSO neutral. But even if we are just about into La Nina, it's a very, very weak signature indeed. I'm going to show you the last three El Nino to La Nina summers. So this is from 1998, and this is going to show you what a proper sort of La Nina should be looking like by this point. So this is from the 25th of July 1998. This follows on from the strongest El Nino recorded. And look how much blue we've got here through this central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. We go back over here as well towards Indonesia. In fact, not just blue, it goes towards purple colour. So the scale is along the bottom of the chart. So you see we're going to around 3 degrees. Maybe a little bit more, 3 degrees cooler than average here with these sea surface temperature anomalies. That's a proper La Nina getting going through the summer of 1998. Let's try another year. This is 1990. This is 2007, I should say. This is the 26th of July. 2007. Not as extensive with the blue colours as we had at this point in 1998, but nevertheless you clearly can see that the equatorial Pacific is in a much, much colder state than what we've got going on now. And also notice all of this blue that we've got gathering off Chile and moving out into this central part of the southern Pacific Ocean. That's all just sort of waiting to upwell in the central part of the equatorial Pacific. So quite clearly the Pacific in a much colder state at this point in 2007 compared to what we have now. In fact, I'll go back and show you what we have now. That is what we have now. Is a very weak signal compared to 2007. And then 2010, the last time we went from an El Nino event of 2009-2010 to La Nina during the summer of 2010, and then that lasted through winter of 2010-2011. This was a situation quite clearly in a La Nina event already by the 26th of July 2010, was quite clearly in a La Nina event. All parts of the equatorial Pacific Ocean from Peru over towards Indonesia, cooler than average, a very obvious and very clear signature for a cold event. And again, look how that cold water backs down towards Chile just here. Also the northern to the northern side of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, showing that the PDO, Pacific Decadal Oscillation, is also in a cold state. So again, if we compare that to right now, what's going on right now is nothing compared to those 3 years where we did the El Nino to La Nina flip. There is a lot of uncertainty now, I think, about whether we're ever going to get a La Nina. Now, we have got a really weak signature in that central part of the equatorial Pacific, but there is a defined criteria to get La Nina. So to get a La Nina designated, and it's same to get an El Nino designated, only on the other side of the scale, get a La Nina designated, we've got to be at at or under 0.5 degrees below average over 5 tri-monthly periods through this central part of the equatorial Pacific Ocean. So whether we're ever going to reach the threshold to get this La Nina formally designated, I'm not sure. It's such a weak one at the moment. It's really struggling that I'm just not sure it's ever going to truly get there. Now, this is the subsurface temperature departures from the PDF that the CPC, NCP, and NOAA produce on a weekly basis. You can find the link to this on the links page. It really is a fantastic body of information. It's updated on a weekly basis. It keeps you informed about how things are progressing week by week. So this is looking under the surface. These charts, just here, go back to this. These charts look at the surface temperatures, but this is looking at the subsurface temperatures. See how much cold water there is under the surface. So I'm not going to show you all the charts we can look at with this, but let's just look at this. I want to focus on this over here. This is the subsurface temperature anomaly through the equatorial Pacific Ocean back in May. This is back on the 28th of May. Notice how deep the blue colours are there. Some quite deep blue colours and pretty extensive as well, indicating a fair amount of cold water underneath the surface of the equatorial Pacific that you would assume is waiting to push up and produce a cold event. Well, this is the latest just here. So I'm going to get rid of those blue colours. This is the latest just here in terms of the subsurface temperature anomalies. And you see there are still some cooler than average temperature anomalies there, but they're much weaker, and there's less of it compared to what I have over here. So this, you will think, is quite a lot of colder than average subsurface temperature anomalies waiting to push up. But this looks a lot weaker. It's a lot more fragmented. The blue colours aren't as deep. And it's just much less. There's just much less in terms of cold and average anomalies there under the surface of the equatorial Pacific. So it's clearly something that's happened since May. We have seen a weakening of the cooler than average subsurface temperature anomalies. That's probably why this La Nina event is struggling to get going, because there's just not the water, the depth of cold water underneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, Pacific Ocean, waiting to move up. So there is one year that this is quite similar. Actually, there's 2 years. There's 2 El Nino events that didn't go from El Nino to La Nina. So the first one was 1991, 1992, this year just here. So we've got 1991, where the El Nino started, 1992, where the El Nino went on through to the middle part of the year. So these are the summer months of 1992. But you see those red colours then only go back to black. They don't go to blue. They don't go negative. Unlike, for example, 97, 98. So we've got the 97 El Nino event getting going there. It continues into 1998 there. And then through the summer of 1998, we very quickly go from red, which is El Nino, to blue, which is La Nina. So quite clearly, 97, 98, we've already seen the charts, move through the summer months into a La Nina event. We didn't do that with the 1991-1992 El Nino event. We just went from El Nino just here and just here and just here. Just went from that to neutral, ENSO neutral, through the middle and latter stages of 1992, and then that continued into 1993. The other year that is similar to this is 1983. So before 97-98, which is the all-time record Super Nino, before that, the strongest El Nino recorded was in 82-83. The El Nino began early in 1982. These red numbers just here reached their peak at the start of 1983 and then weakened off through the middle part of 1983. But again, you notice we just go from red to black. We don't go from red to blue. So we just have these numbers here which are in black that indicate very weak, almost borderline La Nina, but never reaching the required threshold to get La Nina actually designated through the winter of 83. 84, just hovering very, very close to ENSO neutral. And interestingly, at the end of 1984 and into 1985, we did go into an actual weak La Nina then, but it didn't really come to very much. It was quite a weak event. So concentrating on 82, 83, you can see that probably is the year that is similar to what we've got now, because 2015, we started the 2015-2016 event as a Super Nino. It was a really big event, very similar in nature to 82, 83. And now we're unravelling that El Nino event in a very similar way to 1983. Which didn't ever get a La Nina designated, although it did go almost a borderline weak La Nina condition. So out of all the years, we're probably closest to 82, 83 right now. Now, to really hook up a La Nina, we've got to see the SOI, the Southern Oscillation Index, going significantly negative, I should say significantly positive. A negative SOI, Southern Oscillation Index, is a signature for El Nino. A positive SOI is a signature for La Nina. This is essentially just an index that's reflecting the state of the atmosphere in the Southern Ocean between Tahiti and Darwin. Darwin in Northern Australia, of course. So you get a lot of positivity of the SOI. It's telling you that the atmosphere is reflecting a La Nina state. And then as the atmosphere reflects La Nina, so the ocean will start to push up colder sea surface temperature anomalies. The atmosphere will respond to that and start to reflect La Nina even more. The oceans will respond and cool the Equatorial Pacific even more, and it'll be like a snowball event, if you like. The whole thing will just gather pace, and that's how you get both El Nino and La Nina really bedding in and strengthening. So we're looking for really positive numbers, and we're not getting them. So this is back to the 1st of July, where we've got the SOI looking, well, it's a little bit positive there, 1.9, but it's close to neutral. 2nd of July goes a bit negative. 3rd of July goes quite negative, down to -9, and that continues into 4th of July as well. But you've got those sort of numbers, -9, -10, with the SOI. It's telling you that the atmosphere is really reflecting an El Nino state. So then we go back a little bit positive, 1.9 on the 6th, back to negative 2.8, 2.2 on the 7th and 8th. Now we go more positive after that. So these are a couple of pretty positive numbers on the 11th and the 12th of July, +12 and +15. That is really quite reflective of La Nina state in the atmosphere. But look at this, just a couple of days later, we're back to very negative numbers again. 14th and 15th of July, -20, -17. Back to the atmosphere reflecting El Nino now. Come down, and we have gone more positive over the past week. So the 19th of July comes out at +15, 20th of July comes out at +20, 21st +14, 22nd +11, 23rd +18, 24th +19, 25th +19, 26th +12. Those are much more positive numbers. If you sustain those sort of numbers over a month or two, then we will start to see La Nina strengthening. But look what's happened at the very latest. On the 28th of July, we've gone back negative again, down to -8. So what's going on with these numbers? What they're telling us is that the atmosphere and the oceans are fighting against each other, and they're not in a definitive state. Sometimes the SOI is swinging to La Nina, which presumably is starting to allow colder water to gather pace in the Equatorial Pacific Ocean. But other times it's swinging back to El Nino again, and that would just put the lid on top of the Equatorial Pacific being able to upwell those cold average sea surface temperature anomalies. So if the ocean wants to go to La Nina, although with the subsurface temperature anomalies weakening off, the ocean is beginning to back away from that, but it does still want to go to La Nina, it wants to go to current event, but the atmosphere, because it's swinging consistently from El Nino to La Nina, back to El Nino, and back to La Nina, and so on and so forth, the ocean, the atmosphere is stopping the ocean from producing this El Nino, this La Nina event. Hope you're bearing with me, it's quite complicated, but it's basically the fact that the atmosphere is not allowing the ocean to produce La Nina at the moment. And as this is going on, so the models are starting to back off from the signature for La Nina as well. So this is the latest from the CFS V2. We've got the temperature anomalies, seaside temperature anomalies on the bottom side of the chart, dates on the bottom. You see the El Nino we had at the start of the year is just there. We have unravelled that, and we're down around neutral at the moment. But that's really where we're being forecast to stay. This black dash line is the forecast of the ensemble plume, and it is very much on the borderline of whether we ever get a La Nina designated. It's going down to around 0.5 degrees below average. That's where it is right now, and it just doesn't go any further. Now, there are some members of the ensemble that do go down into definitive La Nina territory, but they're not the majority. We've got many members of the ensemble that actually want to lift those temperatures back up towards the end of the year. And overall, it's neutral to borderline La Nina condition. But it is such a weak signal that you really couldn't say we're going to get a La Nina event, or certainly not a La Nina event that's ever designated by that forecast. It is really, really weak in terms of what the CFS is doing. ECWF is very similar as well, so this is the ensemble plume forecast, and that's where we are right now. So again, it's around neutral, a bit cooler than average. We sort of stay there. Got temperature anomalies on the side, dates on the bottom, so towards the autumn we're in that sort of zone, very much where we are now. Let's go through to the end of the year. Actually, I think you can see that the ensemble plume wants to lift those temperatures up a little bit, so it's sort of putting the lid on a La Nina, closing the door on it by the autumn, and then by the winter, which is just here, we're actually going back really back to neutral, and possibly even borderline weak El Nino just here by the time you get through to the end of the year and the start of 2017. I think neutral is where the model is trending. Excuse me. Borderline La Nina at the moment, and then going towards neutral at the end of the year. And then Jamstec IOD, it's very similar. Look at this, the red line here doesn't go into La Nina territory. To get to La Nina, we will be seeing the red line going into that sort of zone, or with a strong La Nina, we'll be going into that sort of zone. Instead, the red line is just here, hovering around neutral. So if Jamstec comes off, we are not going to get a La Nina designated. So, obviously, La Nina is in trouble. Whether we ever get to it, whether we ever get it designated, I really have got my doubts at the moment. We have got a little bit of cooler than average sea surface temperature anomaly in the Central Polar Equatorial Pacific to play with, but it's not developing quickly enough or getting extensive enough at the moment to say that we are going to go into a designated La Nina, and a La Nina that will have an impact on the global weather system, because to really feel the effects of El Nino and La Nina, they have to be quite big events to really have an effect on the whole of the globe's weather. So that's how it's looking at the moment for July. It looks like we are in borderline La Nina territory, more or less ENSO neutral to borderline La Nina. The models are predicting that's where we're likely to stay, and as we get through towards the autumn and winter, we may actually start to back that back towards ENSO neutral. wouldn't entirely rule out a very weak El Nino by the winter, but I think that's probably off the cards. It looks like neutral is the way we're going towards the end of 2016. We'll do another ENSO update next month. To come back for that, don't forget to donate to charity. You haven't done that yet. And tomorrow we're looking at the seasonal models for the autumn of 2016. It's the second long-range model update for the autumn. That's all for now then, and thanks for watching.